I'm here with the newly appointed head coach of the Boston Uprising, Mobydik and Haeni, who graciously has agreed to provide the translation. And it's an interesting one because we're in the mid-season, there's some break, and you've just taken over the duties. And to me, it felt like all I heard about you as a coach was always very positive. So I was surprised that you didn't get a job directly after last season with the Toronto Defiant. Were you surprised that you didn't get a coaching offer?
Not really. I wasn't surprised when I didn't get offers because the size of market was getting smaller and everybody's like saving money and stuff. So I kind of expected that.
Still, you had one of the more successful finishes with Toronto, right? Do you think that could you have done something differently in order to get a job?
So when I was on the Toronto Defiant, like if I got the like better results or outcomes, probably I could have gotten more offers right away. But it was man like not really good, not really bad. So that's why I don't think like I got many offers from other teams.
In context of the Toronto Defiant, we think it's pretty good. Especially the top three finish at the homestand. Now, you've been in the league for a long time. I think to Western fans, you're not super well known. They probably know you mostly from the Toronto Defiant stuff and also the Fusion beforehand. But now you're a head coach of a squad full of veterans that have many titles across them. Is that intimidating in any way?
No. It's not intimidating at all. Well, I was able to get that to the interim head coach role with the Toronto Defiant. So right now I'm very excited what kind of results or outcomes we are gonna make together. Uh so I'm very ready.
For sure. How long have you been working with the team, and what are your first impressions of how they perform and like what their characters are?
Yeah, it's now I've been working with the Boston Uprising less than a week, very new, and my impression on like when I joined the Scream at first with them, obviously I was able to tell wow they have a lot of experience because when I was with the Toronto Defiant last year, it was more like improving their skills from their basics, but our current roster on the Boston Uprising is already like made or like it's already perfect. So what I want to focus on is how to harmonize their play style, and so I'm very happy with it, and I'm looking forward to seeing our chemistry and also the personalities really match well with my character too.
For sure. Now, of course, as I said, you have a long history in this league, and you often came close. But when you were beaten, it was at the hand of some of the guys you're now coaching. I'm thinking of Striker and on the Shock in season 3, and then also Izayaki and GGRecon on the Dragons in season 4. Now that you've worked with them and sort of gotten to know these guys, do you understand what is special about them as people outside the server, not just from analyzing them from their gameplay?
Yeah, so as for their play style, well, that's the first thing like I want to talk about. But it made me feel like when I watched their plays, I was like, oh, this is possible. Like, wow, like they're doing it right now. And then so I have high expectations on them because it's gonna be very useful when I build strategies with them. So I'm very excited. So because I remember that I used to have trouble working with some players before because I build a strategy depending on their levels. So our players they have a lot of experience and they are very specialized in their abilities. So I'm very excited. And outside of the play, like I said before, uh, their personalities really match well with my personality too. So I'm happy with that. Yeah, that's very thankful.
Sweet. Now, if you look at your roster, you have a lot of people that won titles before. And interestingly, it seems to me like the guys that didn't win the final have been sort of the leaders. We often hear Decay has stepped into that role. We know Kalios has done that in the past for other teams. And presumably he's doing that now. What is it about their personality that makes them leadership figures?
I didn't have a chance to really like to have a long conversation because I just joined the team. So, but what I saw while talking to them was I think DK is a kind of introverted, and Kalios, as you can see, he's loud and uh, uh outgoing, and also like DK is like really goofy around with our players. So yeah, I think that's pretty much it. What I saw from them.
Sweet. Now, I talked to former co-workers of yours about what you are specifically good at. And they said you're very good at mediating between parties. And you have a specific communication talent of explaining complex subjects to players that the coaching staff wants them to do. And you're among the best of that, is what they explained to me. So could you explain to us how you effectively communicate complex strategies to players?
Yeah, thanks for the compliment, but it's not really. I don't have like a huge something like I did well about my job. But anyway, like no big difference, no any big things. Well, what I did for the players, this is just my natural personality. I did my best to make our players understand easily with some easy words, not like any big words. And then my personality is like I'm pretty goofy and outgoing, and sometimes uh makes make jokes around with players. So no distance between players and coaches, and also the players I used to work with, they were open-minded, and I believe our players right now they are. So I think that's why there's no problem with making teaching them or coaching them. So yeah, it was easy.
Is there a problem with authority if you joke around with players and go on a almost like friendly friendship basis?
Oh yeah, so no
네.
problem with that because my personality
또
is
제가
like
일할
when I work,
때는
I
일을
just
하고
do my work,
뭐
do my job,
장난칠 땐
and
장난치는
then when I
타입이라서
when I
사실 그
play around
공과사
with them, like
구별을
hang out
최대한
with
잘
them,
하려고
yeah,
노력하는
just I do that
중이라서
with them.
아직까지
I get
그렇게
along
문제가
well
됐던
with
적은
the
없었던 것 같아요.
players.
그걸로 인해서 뭐
I try my
분위기가
best to
무너진다던가 그랬던
separate
적은 없었던 것
those.
같아요.
So I haven't had any trouble regarding those.
Sweet. Now, when we talked to Gator in his first coaching year, and of course he's having a lot of success, he was pretty candid about what he thinks about the value of coaches, both from his pro play career and then also now being a coach. And he said that during the season, coaches aren't that important. It's probably mostly that everything runs smoothly, scrims are booked, everyone's in high spirits. Do you agree on the impact that coaches have during the season? Is it really just like the better your players are, the less you have to do?
Yeah, actually, I agree with his opinion. And then, if we have strong players and the players doing really well, there are not many like feedback session we should have. So for the players, so as far as I know, I think the Gator has been doing that since he was a player. When he was a player, I think I heard that or I know that he coached himself. So if there is a good like chemistry and then the communication is really going well between players, what I should do as a head coach is just leading the communication or leading the team, and then they tend to uh, start talking each other. So I kind of agree with what he's saying.
We're currently having a discussion sort of on Twitter with a couple of coaches where it seems like a lot of people are saying Overwatch 2 got more mechanical. So the mechanical team wins much more often than they did in Overwatch 1. Do you agree?
No. Well, what I feel about Overwatch 2 is I think more team play needed for Overwatch 2 rather than more than Overwatch 1. So when we produce a perfect team play, we can utilize our value and abilities that we have. And I know what they're saying. The mechanics are very important, but team play and the teamwork is much more important than mechanics.
Another point that is raised is that teams are now less creative. Do you feel less creative in your work and the strategies you can employ and stuff like this?
That expression, that word, like creativity, I think it's a bit like awkward to express like the current state of the Overwatch 2. And because I know that like some communities or fans, like people from outside, they want something new and unique that's they want to see and watch. But rather than that, what I feel like is you can get creative. You can do something like creative in tactics with some changes, but it's kind of impossible or it's challenging in the current meta because there are not many like heroes. It's limited, and some heroes are too OP in specific context, or some heroes are too good in some specific metas. So making something like creative more than that is a bit challenging. So I would say, like, rather than creative, I would say it's adventurous or challenging. But I don't think it's a coaching problem. It's more like a game problem.
I talked to Christopher last night, and he said he couldn't believe that Sombra was nerfed because that hero is too strong right now. Do you agree?
Yes, I feel the
네.
same. And well, in the
엄청나게
current
좀
situation, other
이게 사실
heroes got nerfed. But
다른
as you know, Overwatch
영웅들이 너프를
is
먹기도 했고
a
그리고 지금
first
솜브라가
person
그
perspective game,
이상으로
and
오버워치라는 게
that's why
사실
we don't get
정보
much.
1인칭 게임이다 보니까 정보를
We
얻는 게 정말
cannot get much like
한정적인데
information. The information is pretty
그런
limited,
정보 전달
and
역할 플러스
Sombra is
뭐
a
이니시부터
good
시작해서
hero, like
많은
to
거를
initiate
해결할
the
수
fight
있는
and stuff.
캐릭터가
But like
솜브라라고
Sombra
생각을
can
하는데
handle everything.
네, 그런
But
캐릭터
yeah,
너프를 안 먹은 게
I
사실
feel
좀
surprised that
많이
Sombra didn't
놀랍긴
get
하죠.
nerfed yet.
Do you think the meta is just heading where we were in the first half of the season with Winston, Tracer, Sombra just being the dominant composition?
네, 조금의 변형은 있더라도 그렇게 크게 틀이 바뀔 것만 같지는 않네요.
Yeah, I think it will be similar to that composition. I can see like there are gonna be some changes, but yeah, pretty much same. I feel like.
Sure. Now, when I talked to Christopher, there's still some hurt in him from the season 3 fusion run, where you guys had a great regular season, and then the patch comes and it completely changes the playoffs. So it seems to me that metas are kingmakers. So if you roll your best meta, it's really good for you. What kind of meta would your team need to, become the best team in the Overwatch League?
제가 생각했을 때는
Yeah, for sure. Our team can do our best job at the current meta, but what we were lacking in the past, or our weakness, was the team didn't have V. So maybe I have a big ego, I don't know, but when I talk to players, that's how I feel like.
Sure. Now, you have your work cut out for yourself, because your team is, I think I talked to Pri in the preseason, and it sounded like this team is built to win the league. And if you look at the roster, that's definitely, by the quality of your players, possible. Now, for the first half of the year, Atlanta and Outlaws seem to be the teams that are in a team of their own, and even argue Atlanta might even be by themselves. How do you catch up to these guys? Like, what can you do, maybe you specifically, in order to close that gap?
Yeah, so what I The surprising thing was when I looked at and watched our players' plays, with only their individual plays, individual abilities, they were able to finish fourth. That's the MSM. I think that's amazing. And then that means, in other words, with some like team play and teamwork, I believe that I can minimize the gaps. And what we're missing is the concept of the team play. So I know the solution, like, and then that's my strength. I can minimize those gaps, and I think please keep an eye out on us.
You put a lot of confidence in yourself, and currently you're the only coach on the Boston Uprising, as far as we know. Will it stay that way?
Yeah, for sure. We need one more additional coach. It's not one man job. Yeah, for sure. We need one more person.
Can you explain what your ideal diversion, like what you would want, how you ideally split up the coaching staff? Like, you're in a head coach position, what kind of tasks do you do? And then the other guy that comes in, what kind of tasks would he do in your system?
Yeah, so as a head coach for myself, I will take care of everything about our team, our team's direction, individual feedback session, and come up with ideas, some ideas about like strategies and stuff. And then for the new coach, if he joins our team, I want him to focus on individual feedback sessions because we have a limited time, and sometimes it's not like possible for me to fix everyone and everyone's mistakes. So that would be my ideal.
Sweet. Now, as a last question, what do you consider to be successful? What's your goal for the rest of the season?
이게 목표라고 하니까 너무 큰데 혹시 어떤 목표를 그냥
Oh,
끝에 말씀하시는 건가?
think like the goal, that word is too broad. Like, can you please like specify? Like, are you saying like at the end of the season, my goal would be this?
Yes. Do you want to win the league?
Yes, of course. But I think I should come out with some my background stories. So in my Overwatch career, I think there were 3 or 4 times to a chance to win, including tournament, win the championship. But I had to say goodbye to that opportunity. It was so close, but I wasn't able to make it. Well, also last year, when I think about the last year, our scrims were going really well. So I thought were gonna win the championship, but we couldn't. We missed it again. So yeah, for sure. Our My goal is winning the championship, and at least I wanna be in the finals, and I wanna play the finals.
Sweet. Then we wish you the best of luck with that, and thank you for the interview.
네, 그러면 파이팅 하시길 바라겠고, 저 건승을 빕니다.
감사합니다.